Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. We got a huge announcement. It's the 2024 tax season. It's right around the corner, and you might need a CPA to prepare your taxes. And conveniently, I'm a CPA that can gladly prepare your taxes for you. Who am I? Who is this handsome man with his son right there? I am the owner of Strongman CPA LLC, a fully digital, veteran-owned accounting and tax preparation business. When you allow me to do your taxes, there is no paper. It is all digital, as we'll explain. I'm a certified public accountant licensed in the state of Virginia. I've had over 7 years of accounting and tax preparation experience, and I have diverse experience in government, private, and public accounting. Basically, I've done taxes before, and I plan on doing them far into the future. What do I do? 1040s, individual tax return. If you're a normal person with a normal W-2 job and some taxes and crypto, unfortunately, I will do your tax form. I will gladly do that for you. And I'll probably have better rates than TurboTax, shockingly enough. And you could have a CPA actually go through your taxes instead of who knows what on TurboTax or yourself. I also do 1120S's, S corporations. Any size business that is an S corporation needs tax planning and preparation. Tax planning is essential because during the current year, 2024, you need to make sure you're doing the right decisions with your money so that you're prepared to file your taxes in 2025 for the 2024 year. If you don't do everything that needs to be done, if you don't pay yourself a reasonable salary, you might potentially be in trouble. It is essential that you reach out to a CPA like me to get tax planning done for your S corporation before the end of the year. Now, if you go with me, your fee will be a one-time upfront fee where I do your tax planning before the end of 2024, and then I will file your taxes, including your individual return, in 2025. I also do partnerships, the 1065. If you have a C corporation, I'll do your taxes, except for Microsoft. I can't handle that. I do bookkeeping. I do U.S. tax returns only, and all states are welcome. It does not matter what state you're in. I'm in Virginia. It does not matter. If you are a U.S. citizen and you're filing a U.S. tax return and you have a state tax return, I will gladly do that for you. What I don't do trusts. I don't have enough experience in trusts. I don't do employee retention tax credits if that's still around. And I do not guarantee you refund amounts. I'm not going to say, I'll give you, if you pay me this much, I'll give you a guaranteed refund. That's not good. That's actually that's prohibited by ethics. So there's no guarantee of refund amounts. And there's actually a possibility that you may owe taxes, and that's not my fault. If you've underwithheld throughout the year, there's a potential that you may owe taxes. But I'll make sure that your taxes are done properly so that you don't get in trouble with the authorities. What is the process? How do we get from you contacting me to me filing your tax return? Initially, once you see this presentation, you're going to email me, and we're going to do a free 30-minute video conference or initial consultation. This is completely free up front. I do not charge for our initial meeting. We'll meet up. You'll send me your prior year tax returns. We'll go over them, and I'll get a feel for your tax situation. At this point, once I have a good feeling for your tax situation, I will give you an upfront quote. That's right. I will tell you directly to your face, right up front, over Google Meet, how much I'm going to charge total for tax preparation and tax planning. Completely free up front. Once you agree to work with me, we're going to have to do a couple things. First of all, we have to sign an engagement letter. You have to sign the engagement letter, you or your spouse if you have one. This lays out the terms of our agreement. This lays out exactly what I'm going to do for you, so there are no discrepancies. So you will sign the engagement letter. You will pay the upfront retainer. I charge upfront. You pay me upfront, and I do everything for you. You're going to fill out your client organizer. This is essential. I need to know your entire tax situation. The client organizer lays out exactly what you need to give me so I can properly prepare your taxes. If you don't tell me everything, and you get audited later, there's going to be a problem. You're also going to give me your prior tax return. Now, if you're my client or you were my client last year, I already have your tax return, so you don't need to provide that to me. But if you're a new client, you need to give me your prior year tax return, and maybe even more, depending on your situation. And it's essential that I get your prior year tax return, because if I don't know what you did in the past or if you have any carryovers, I really can't do your taxes into the future. And I'll also send you a Dropbox link. Dropbox is where all your tax forms go. You will upload all your tax forms to Dropbox. You will not either email them to me, because that is a security risk. Dropbox is just a simple place where you can upload documents to the cloud and we can both access them at all times. Next, once you've signed your engagement letter, you've paid the retainer up front, you filled out your client organizer, you've given me your prior year tax return or returns, it's both federal and state if I don't have them already, and you receive your Dropbox link, you'll upload all your documents to the secure Dropbox link. If you have some tax planning that you have to do, I'm going to get as much information as I can to understand your current tax situation in 2024. And it's essential that I get as much information as possible and as early as possible, so we can make sure that you take all the actions that need to be made before year end. So it is essential for everybody that if you want to do tax planning, you need to do it as soon as possible before the end of the year, if you're a cash-based business especially. Once I have all your documents, I will prepare your tax return sometime in 2025 when I have everything. Obviously, I can't do the return until I have everything. Then I will collect any additional amounts due. Now, people ask me, okay, Chris, so first of all, I'm not collecting your taxes that you're paying. This is for fees specifically. But people will ask me, well, Chris, you gave me this upfront quote, and now you're saying you may collect any additional amounts due. That's true. However, that's only if you did not tell me everything in the upfront video conference. If you tell me everything up front, I have this business, I have this house that I'm renting out, et cetera, whatever you have going on in your tax life. If you tell me up front and I give you a quote, there's not going to be any additional charge whatsoever. You pay me up front, that's it. You get everything done. If you're hiding 5 businesses and 10 rental properties, yeah, I'm going to have to charge you more. And I'm going to tell you immediately. If I find out, I look at all your tax documents and I figure out that you have more than I told you, I'm going to tell you up front, you need to pay me. So you're not going to be in a situation where I've done your taxes and I'm holding you hostage. I will not do that. I don't want to make my business about that. But as long as you're up front, the quote you get is the quote you will pay. Next, once the tax return's done, we will have a 10-minute video going over your completed return. I will do that. I'll upload it to Dropbox, but it's on request. You have to specifically request that I do a 10-minute video going over and explaining your tax return. Next, we will sign e-file authorizations. So in order for me to file your federal and state taxes, you have to authorize me to file them. So I'm going to upload the e-file authorizations to Dropbox. I'll send you a link. You and or your spouse, if you have one, will sign it for both federal and state. And once you sign that, you're telling me, Chris, you can file my taxes. Then I will go and I will submit your tax return. Going over in more detail, the free 30-minute video conference and initial consultation. We're going to do it over Google Meet. I mean, we could do it over phone call, but I prefer Google Meet. We can look at documents a lot easier, et cetera, et cetera. I'll use this to learn your tax situation. It's critical that I know as much as possible up front so I can properly quote you. I'll explain the process, which is basically what's going on here, and then I'll give you an upfront quote. And like I said, you're not going to pay any more if you tell me everything up front. Next, you'll sign your engagement letter, which you'll receive in an email. It's a formal agreement between you and I. It lays out exactly what we're going to do. You're going to pay your upfront fee that I need to collect upfront before I prepare your tax return. And it will fluctuate if you don't tell me everything. Please fill out your client organizer. This tells me your tax situation. Sometimes when we're talking up front, we may miss stuff. Please fill this out. It's a big document. It's a pain, but it is essential that I know everything up front. You'll get it in your Dropbox. Then I will collect your prior year tax return. Like I said, if I already have it, no problems whatsoever. And then I'll send you a Dropbox link. I will reiterate for the 1,000th time. Do not email me your tax documents. Upload them to Dropbox because your tax documents have social security numbers, et cetera, that you don't want out there in the public. You want to upload it directly to Dropbox. Then step 3, you'll upload all documents to the secure Dropbox link. It's super easy. If you have any trouble, reach out to me. I'm not going to charge you anymore. But if you have any issues accessing Dropbox, just let me know. You can take a picture of your form. You can scan it as long as it's a clear picture. You don't need to email me every time you upload a document. Just upload everything. When everything's in there, email me. Say, hey, Chris, everything's good. Everything's in Dropbox. I don't have anything else. And at that time, I'll start preparing your return. And I will contact you if I'm missing any items. And I'll have a general idea of what you should be giving me because of our free initial upfront consultation. Next, I will prepare your tax return. So I use a professional accounting software called Intuit ProConnect. I've been using this for a couple of years now. Pretty straightforward. I will not start work until the engagement letter is signed, the retainer is paid, and the filled out prepare is uploaded to Dropbox. If you don't pay me up front, I'm not doing your return. I'm not going to be in a situation where I prepare your return entirely and then you don't have the money to pay me. That's not how this works. I will prioritize tax returns as they are received. So obviously there are pass-through entities that are due earlier than individual tax returns. So if you have an individual tax return and you have a business, I have to do the pass-through entity first before I can file your individual taxes. If you get me your stuff very quickly, you'll be ahead of the queue of everybody else and your taxes will be filed ASAP. And if you have a refund, assuming you've overpaid throughout the year, you'll get it faster as long as you give me your information as fast as possible. Extensions. Extensions are important. So if you don't have all your documents, sometimes you're waiting for documents, it's totally fine. We will file extensions as of these dates. Pass-through entities, 28 February 2025, and individuals, 31 March 2025. I will file an extension for you. And you may have to pay taxes when you pay that extension, assuming that you haven't withheld properly or paid estimated taxes properly throughout the year. So keep in mind, your taxes will be extended, but just because you extend your taxes doesn't defer the requirement that you have to pay your taxes up front or before the deadline. Next, I will collect any amounts due on step 5. So your taxes are done. If you have anything outstanding, I'll tell you up front, basically. If you give me all your stuff and I find out you have more, I'll tell you up front, okay? I will not surprise you at the end and say, hey, you owe me $500 more. I'm not filing your taxes. I'm not going to do that. As soon as I identify a problem, or if you didn't tell me all the information, I'll tell you immediately, okay? I will also refund you any excess retainer paid. It's probably not going to happen just because the quotes are generally accurate. But if you told me you have 20 businesses and then you only have a W-2, yeah, I'm going to give you back your money, okay? But most likely the quote's pretty close, and you will probably not get any refunds for your retainer paid. But the retainer paid up front is generally an accurate representation of the amount of time that I'm going to take to prepare your taxes. Next, I'll do a 10-minute video going over your completed return on request. You have to specifically request it because I have a lot going on, but I will gladly do it if you request that I spend 10 minutes roughly. I mean, maybe it might be 8 minutes going over your tax return. And this video is at no additional cost to you. Next, we'll sign e-file authorizations. This is the Form 8879. You and or your spouse has to sign this. You can sign it digitally in order for me to file your taxes. I'm not going to file your taxes until you sign this. So it's essential that you sign this, and I'll make sure that you know that you have to sign it. Then I'll submit your tax return, and I'll keep copies of your information for 7 years. Once a return is submitted, I'll print off the completed returns, and I'll make sure that you have them in the share portal in Dropbox so you can download them at any time as long as you have the link. And that's it. Pretty simple. If you want to book a free initial consultation, email me at strongmantax@gmail.com, and we'll talk about your tax situation, and we'll agree or not agree to continue at that point. Hopefully this video presentation was informative. Please reach out to me immediately if you have a complex tax situation. There's a lot of things that need to be done before the end of 2024. It's essential. So if you have any doubts about your tax situation, reach out to me at strongmantax@gmail.com. We'll do a free consultation, and we'll go from there. Have a wonderful day.